Thank you very much. And one of the question I want to ask you relates to the fact that the metaphor, this is not Memorial Day, was read faster than the not metaphoric, this is not Memorial Day.
Yeah, just don't talk directly to the microphone.
Here? Yes, it's better.
About the reading experiment?
Yes, because a few weeks, 10 days ago, I spent some time with Israelis in the group. There were a lot of jokes between. My question is it only on Yom HaZikaron or Memorial Day, or do they read faster other metaphors?
No, of course,
But because there is a relationship between death and laughter that is very particular to Israeli and Jewish groups. And one of the things that make me laugh, and it was heard for the first time there, was that in Ashkenazi, Jewish Ashkenazi weddings, they were making fun that at some point you always remember all the ones who are not present with a word that is Lehalan Reshimat HaNispim.
Yeah, but your question is not that relevant, because of course we had lots of items like this is not a discotheque, or I'm not your doctor, or they were all, of course, tested for novelty, or this is not a bus, or something like this. Yeah. Well, we paid them.
Just a brief question. When you pointed out the relation of metaphoric versus non-metaphoric usages in terms of your examples, taking examples from various kinds of languages, like Hebrew, English, and others, in case I add Hungarian, which is typologically so much different, I think that your experiments would probably yield the same sorts of results. That's what my guess is. But still, with your data, one of the I'm not your mom cases was absolutely surprising to me, and that was a case of Russian. And I noted immediately that in Russian, the metaphoric cases just amounted to 24% on the transparency or on the screen. And there was not a single one of the non-metaphoric cases. How would you understand that? Why is that? That's a surprising piece of data. That was outstanding of all the rest of your data. And I just wonder why.
Well, I can't account for that, you know. Mm-hmm. This is what we found. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, it is supportive of our prediction, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody wanted to, you know, think of it as, what was it, literal? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you, that was very interesting. I just wanted to ask you, do you want to claim actually that, what is conveyed is the metaphoric use of it, but is it not the literal interpretation there as well? Because in all these cases, I'm not your secretary, I'm not your wife, I'm not your maid, I'm not you. What do you do about this thing? I mean,
am I trying to claim that the literal?
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, I'm just rephrasing your question, just to make sure that I followed you. Am I claiming that the literal meaning of I am not is not part of the interpretation of the metaphor? Yes, it is. Mm. But on the whole, the interpretation, the default interpretation of the utterance as a whole is non-literal.
In which case, can I ask you, have you actually got into the why this is happening?
Yeah, I feared this question most. Well, we were racking our brains, like, why? And as you could see, I was cautious. I said, some utterances of the form X is not Y. I didn't quite get into trying to define the construction. And this is something we haven't yet tested, but I think it works for concepts that are potentially metaphoric, and that the negation marker highlights the metaphor relevant features of the concept. But the construction itself is not yet well defined. It awaits research. I think, the first 3 experiments actually use probably quite frequent utterances as opposed to the 4th experiment. And it looks like there is something about the construction, that the construction itself is, let's say, salient. And you can also, introduce novel notions into the construction and come up with novel items that would work similarly well as conventional items. So, but this is just an unbased reply. I have an opinion, but there is no basis to this opinion. So, this was a joke.
Question over there.
I also wonder a little bit about your Russian examples. I'm not your secretary, I'm not your driver. Actually, the pronominal choice there is the T form, not the V form. Isn't it cancelling the metaphorical interpretation straight away? And have you tried the V form? Yana Vasha, or something of the kind.
Can you translate?
Well,
we have tried only these utterances. Yeah. These are just sample examples. Maybe, the hypothesis wouldn't work for other utterances. I don't really know, because as I've already admitted, I'm not quite sure why these constructions work.
My idea is that if you choose the T form, you actually immediately show that there is no deference in the interpretation, no respect for. So therefore, the interpretation of a profession is not very likely, isn't it?
Well, I guess, when you have, when native speakers, have judgment, sometimes they don't agree. But then you go with the majority of the judges, and this is what we got, so.
Thank you very much for the very interesting talk, illuminating talk. But capitalizing on what has just been said, I think it's the matter of what the vehicle is like. That is, if you say, I'm a squirrel, I believe that if you compare this negative vis-a-vis affirmative versions, you may actually come up with very similar results, or rather the other way around. You may have that's a hunch, just an idea.
I just want to, sorry to interrupt. The affirmative versions cannot have this, as the negative versions cannot have this semantic anomaly. You can't take something that is primarily metaphoric, like I'm a squirrel. Mm-hmm. So this wouldn't work for default interpretations.
Yeah, and that's the point, the choice of attributes which can normally be associated with human beings. So it might be the domain, conceptual domain, to which the vehicles belong, which may explain why these utterances work. That's just an idea.
Okay, we'll take this into consideration.
Thanks a lot. I found it extremely interesting.
Sorry, I don't hear you. No, I don't know. Maybe the distance of...
Like this?
Maybe.
Okay. Close now.